2020 is finally in the books, and today we're going to talk about one of the hottest industries kicking off 2021. Hi, I'm Matthew Carr, Chief Trend Strategist for the Oxford Club, and thank you for watching this episode of Market Trends. So there have been a lot of fantastic performances from cannabis plays over the past 9 months or so. In fact, some have soared so much that many investors feel they may have missed the boat. But don't worry, there are a lot of great companies in the cannabis space, and today I'm going to share my favorite undervalued pot stock. So last year, cannabis enjoyed this epic rebound after 2 brutal years of the longest bear market in the nascent industry's history. Shares of many American cannabis companies surged to new all-time highs. We saw the U.S. marijuana index outpace the broader markets by a significant margin, gaining more than 61% last year. But I want to stress that outperformance fails to truly capture just how massive the turnaround was for the industry. From its March lows, the U.S. marijuana index rocketed more than 313% higher to close out 2020. Now, all in all, it was an historic year for American cannabis, but I believe this is only the first step of the next leg higher. I've long forecast that the American cannabis industry would be worth approximately $80 billion by the end of the decade, by 2030. And from where we stand now, that estimate might be a little conservative. After a clean sweep on election day, one of the only undisputed victories of this past election, the U.S. now has 15 states that allow for adult use and 36 that allow for medical use. Here, I expect that pace to pick up speed. In fact, I believe as many as a half dozen states could debate expanded legalization this year. The coasts are filling in with recreational markets. And even though the East Coast has largely legalized medical use, with that recent recreational approval in New Jersey, I expect this situation to change quite rapidly. So I believe my home state of Maryland will likely debate adult use, as will Connecticut, New Mexico, New York, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Virginia. There's this tremendous pressure to recoup all the tax revenue, as well as provide more jobs due to the economic devastation triggered by the pandemic. That alone will foster an accelerated pace of legalization. Cannabis strolled into 2021 on this high, but the results of the recent 2 Georgia Senate seat runoff elections will now have profound impacts on the industry. Remember, the House, controlled by Democrats, passed the Safe Banking Act in 2019. But this bill was basically set in the corner to rot in the Senate. The Republican-controlled legislator just refused to vote on it. In 2020, the House passed the MORE Act. Again, the Senate refused to even vote on this bill. These are 2 pro-marijuana measures that would completely change the industry. Now, for the past several years, I've argued that the Senate is where cannabis legislation goes to die. And that's because cannabis has, unfortunately become this partisan issue. Democrats are in favor of legalization. Republicans tend to not be. So, for example, on the House vote of the MORE Act, of all the nays, almost all of them were Republican. But now the situation has completely changed. Now the floodgates are poised to open because of those results of those Georgia elections. So, for investors, the big question is, what are my favorite ways to play this? Well, my top plays haven't changed from what I've talked about over the past year. Grow Generation, the largest hydroponics retailer in the US, is still a fantastic option to me. Shares are up almost 1,000% over the past year, but as the market expands, this will continue to be a big winner. Curaleaf, the largest multi-state operator or MSO in the US, is my top plant touching play. Shares have more than doubled over the past year. The company is also reporting record-breaking revenue numbers, not just for itself, but the entire cannabis industry. No one else is reporting revenue numbers anywhere near as high as Curaleaf is. And I still like the MSOs Green Thumb Industries and Trulieve, both of which are reporting more than $100 million in quarterly revenue. But with all that being said, there is a company I believe that is about to play catch up, and that's Cresco Labs. The MSO is headquartered in Chicago, and it's a company I've followed for many years. It currently operates 19 dispensaries and 15 production facilities in 9 states, and 6 of those 9 states are billion-dollar plus markets. But Cresco is taking a kind of a different route. It's taking the consumer packaged goods approach to the industry. For example, several years ago, it teamed up with James Beard award-winning chef Mindy Siegel to produce Mindy's, a line of edibles. And it's this CPG approach that is the key to Cresco's success, because its products are now found in more than 830 dispensaries across the US, and it has more than 5,000 SKUs in production. Right? So this is all paying off for Cresco as it's recently joined the $100 million plus quarterly revenue club. In the third quarter, the MSO reported $153.3 million in revenue. That was a 63% sequential increase, from the second quarter. Even better, adjusted EBITDA soared 182% to $46.4 million. But on the horizon, things are still looking exceptionally strong. For the fourth quarter, we're looking for a 292.7% increase year over year in sales to $162.5 million. And for 2021, revenue is projected to top $806 million as it reports profits of 21 cents per share. All right, so those are a lot of numbers, but that is a lot of upside. Now, here's the deal. While shares of Curaleaf, Green Thumb, even Planet 13, Trulieve, and others have more than doubled over the past year, shares of Cresco have gained about 78%. Still beats the market, still a fantastic gain, but that is trailing those leading peers. But I think with the growth Cresco has ahead, as well as the prospects for the entire cannabis industry, not just this year, but for several years to come, I think Cresco shares are really about to pick up speed in 2021. And so this is a company that I think if you're looking for an undervalued, kind of forgotten in the shuffle play in cannabis, this is a perfect opportunity. Well, I'm Matthew Carr, Chief Trend Strategist for the Oxford Club. Thank you for watching this episode of Market Trends. For more information like this, be sure to go down to the description and sign up for my free e-letter. Until next time, here's to high returns.